morning, everyone. Welcome to another 30-minute COVID supports session. Welcome to my consulting room, and I hope you can hear me and see me well this morning. We had some sound issues yesterday. So, we are going to be talking this morning about coping with fear in an ever changing landscape. Now, this is something that we know in our life, that life is change, and we have to accept that there are going to be changes in our life. But having the right attitude, we can see these changes as continually to be the push of that divine finger pushing along our own path. So if we have the right attitude to those changes, even though they may appear in negative sense at the beginning and make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, once we get into that flow and have better agility, we will in fact see the opportunity in the adversity. That's going to make us a lot more relaxed, less resistant, so that we can go with the flow. Most people do not flow in life. Their life has very sharp corners, has mountains and peaks, um, and they have a bumpy ride over that journey. So, what we want to do is to ensure that we have the right anxiety tools when we need them, etc., and that we can find that center point within ourselves, because that is our foundation. Once we're standing on that firm foundation, then nothing can disturb us. Any exterior influences cannot throw us off our foundation. So our organization has that as the absolute first word in our name. And that is so, so important for the simple reason that if we're standing on a firm foundation in life, if through our spiritual unfoldment we can reach that level, we can reach to that solid base, then our life is going to be so, so much different, which is great. That's what we want, isn't it, at the end of the day? Now, especially through COVID, it's very challenging. The whole scenario, the whole landscape is continually changing. Now there's a vaccine. Should we have a vaccine? Will we get a vaccine? How will that vaccine affect me? Will I have side effects? So this is a constantly moving environment. Now, one of the most important things to recognize is that fear is the precursor to any stress or anxiety that we have. So, how do we overcome fear? Is by having greater stability within ourselves. Once we're stable within ourselves, again, that is showing that we're standing on a firm foundation, and exterior influences will be less interruptive and will not disturb us. So this is somewhat common sense. What happens when we're fearful is, because this is a natural mechanism of protection within us, we're somewhat paralyzed by fear. If we fear something, you know, it often stops us doing something. It makes us stop in our tracks, evaluate the situation again. But that continual pressure of fear on us can also make us not take the right action and overcome those fears and insecurities to make the positive changes in our everyday life. So we're going to talk about this a bit more today. How do we overcome that continual fear that's somewhat always gnawing away in the background, and of course is influenced by changing events around us. Now, as we found out in the last year, that the world can be a very unstable place. We have an enemy. We're not in wartime, but we have a silent, a hidden enemy that is there, um, you know, all the time, and that for many people has been a source of stress. Will I survive if I capture the disease? Will there be a vaccine? And obviously, it's great news to see that that is now obviously going to become a reality sooner than we thought. Um, so, some of the important things are that we're able to cope with an ever changing landscape. How many people in our world today essentially enjoy change? Most people do not. They fear change because we've become comfortable, we're in our comfort zone, and that's fine. I mean, you hear people continually saying, move outside of your comfort zone. Why? You don't need to move outside of your comfort zone. Only when you need to, and only when you have the inner strength to make that transition out of your comfort zone. Now, we know that takes a bit of effort. We want to try new things, do new things, have a new job, upskill ourselves, and do all those wonderful things that life can offer us. We're so spoiled today. We have so many facilities, at our disposal. Many of those are free, of course, etc. Um, and one of the big things, one of the opportunities that people have because of furlough, because of lockdown, is many people are looking to upskill themselves in some way. I was reading a report from Udemy, which is an online learning portal, and they were basically saying that so many people through lockdown are looking to fill in skills they do not have, or to upgrade skills that they currently have but want to improve on. So that is something like 4,000% up for them in that sense that people are looking, they're using that time constructively. And that's very good if we can, in fact, use that time to better ourselves rather than being caught by all the negativity around us. I think it's also important that if you are influenced by negativity, um, that it does disturb you. Just, don't watch the news so much, disconnect from all those channels that keep feeding you this information until such time as you feel stronger and much more able to cope with the changes that are around you. So, we want to get over that paralysis of fear. We want to find that center point within ourselves, and it's very easy to do. As you know, I lead an international meditation school. We teach hundreds of people each year around the world, and most people will agree that after learning to meditate, they find themselves very centered within themselves. And in that process, they have greater strength, greater confidence, self esteem. They can start doing the things that they never thought they would do or wish to do, but could never find the strength and confidence to do so. We were talking yesterday, on these various subjects, and thank you for all your comments in the social channels. We want to hear feedback. If you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe on YouTube and the bell to be notified of the information that we're going to continually post through this lockdown period to support people, because it is a fact that people's mental health is greatly challenged. And the reflection of this is that people in general do not have a good level of stability. Now, the mind is a cunning animal. We can think something, we can feel something we can say something and we can do something all contrary to each other, literally in the same moment. What this shows is that we're living in a state of fragmentation. What we need to do is to find that integration between body, mind, and spirit. Most people embarking on our courses, the first part of the course is focused on creating harmony. Where does harmony currently exist between those three aspects of man? Because we mustn't forget that essentially when the mind is disturbed, the body is also disturbed. The body is absorbing that stress from our mental processes is reflected on the physical level, and this is the precursor to disease. So, when we are more relaxed, our body's natural responses come back. It's a known fact that due to stress, we don't absorb the macro and micronutrients in our diet so well, um, and that after a period of relaxation, this improves, and therefore all those vitamins and micro and macronutrients that we do need in our diet are better absorbed, promoting better health. So you can literally throw away, if you're not deficient, throw away the vitamin bottles, because a lot of the deficiencies people have is because stress affects not only the immune system, but their ability to absorb just nutrients through what they eat, etc. So stress is an awful thing. It really is. We don't want to be stressed, do we? We want to go through our life, have fun, enjoy ourselves. Yes, we're going to have to work. There's been no period in life for man where man has not had to work. Whether that's hauling stones or wood to build a house, hunting for food, all different types of work have been there. And that's fine. We want to keep going. We're progressing. Um, and we want to make sure that our progression is in the right direction and that it is enhancing our lives. And one of the most important things to know is that, fear will stop you doing things. It will stop you because it has that paralysis factor. It has that don't go any further factor. And what we want to do is to become fearless. That's what we need to become fearless. So how do we remove the less? How do we remove the fear from our lives? And this is very simple, by finding greater solidity within ourselves, greater stability within ourselves, creating that foundation. Once we build on that foundation, we are going to feel stronger. So what happens in this process is that very slowly it diminishes those negative thoughts, very naturally diminishing those negative thoughts, neutralizing them. Because in the majority, the fears that we have are magnified by the mind, and they're far bigger than they really are. My guru, Guru Arjananda Yogi, basically used to say, and I love this saying, that we wash the dishes 10 times in our mind before we actually go and do it. And that's so true of so many things in our lives. We're thinking, thinking, thinking. You go to put something in the cupboard and you drop it. Why did you drop it? Is our coordination not good? It is, but you were thinking about so many other things that it disturbed your coordination. Yeah. So we can see that if the mind is overactive, not only does it affect it physically, it will affect the actions that we perform, which obviously are linked to that behavior. So as we become more and more relaxed, everything sort of comes into this wonderful harmony, and we learn to flow. That's so, so important, learning to flow through life, because life is change. As we've said, in the relative field of existence, there will always be change. So accept it, enjoy it. I love change. I love having new things to try. I'm not talking about material things to buy, some improvement in something, some new, I don't know, gadget, etc. Yeah, I'm a boy, so boys like toys. But can you imagine? We're not frightened of those changes. Yeah, we're moving around the room. Perhaps we're realigning, like I've done here in my consulting room. You see at the back, I've got what I call the thinking chair. There's times when we really need to chill, and I just want to gather my thoughts, maybe write something down, just put things into perspective. That's a great way to do it. But what helps you more than anything is to have another attribute of a relaxed and calm mind, an unfolded mind, is objectivity. You're going to hear me speak about this often because it's so, so important. We're so involved in the machinations of the mind that continually go over day by day, analyzing, 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 thinking, 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 thinking. That it's very hard for us to be more objective. So again, one of the very important elements of becoming less fearful and coping with these changes is to be able to watch what's happening in a non-attached way, not detached. Detached means you don't care. No? Non-attached means that you still care, but you are not emotionally involved. It's when we become emotionally involved in our problems, in our challenges, that sends the mind on a whirlpool. It throws us into that whirlpool of thoughts that continue going around trying to find resolution. So, through being more objective, we stand aside from the vortex of the mind. The moment we stand aside, the mind loses its power and velocity, and we are much more objective, right? Because we're no longer involved in all those thoughts going around. Once you have objectivity, you have clarity. Once you have clarity, your decision-making process will be 1,000 times better. You will be making decisions like this, huh? Because your mind does not have to trawl around to find the answer. You've quieted the mind. Those deeper recesses of the mind are filled with knowledge. The universe is within us. The universal knowledge is within us. We just need to go beyond the surface to encounter it. So suddenly, through the power of your intuition, which again escalates, it rises, as we are more relaxed, those intuitive thoughts just rise up. So when you question, I need an answer to this, it's there in an instant. It's absolutely there. So you see how your life changes. It becomes more spontaneous. There's less thinking. There's more action. So as we always say, right thinking, right action. Your actions will always be correct if your thinking is correct too. Right thinking, right action. Do remember that. Very important. Extremely, extremely important. Please do feel to put questions in the chat if you would like me to expound on some of these points, etc. So at this time, we do want to be able to manage our anxiety, and meditation is the most perfect tool for managing your anxiety. We don't only want to manage it because you read so much about stress management. Okay, that is just the beginning. These guys don't really know much about stress. They teach you how to manage it, but not how to resolve it at its root. And that's what we do. That's our expertise. That is a process called spiritual unfoldment, which is the attribute that meditation prescribed correctly will bring for you. So we want to, yes, we want to manage the stress, but we want to eradicate it at its root. And the more we dive deep within ourselves towards that foundation, towards that universality, towards that divineness that's within, we will draw those powerful energies. These energies flood the mind with positivity, uh, and that obviously changes the way we think, but also there we have strength from that stability. Anything that is a foundation is strong. Anything that is stability is strength. That's what we need, but we want to eradicate these fears. To give you an example, you may have been hurt in a relationship. Therefore, because of that hurt, you will have a barrier. Anyone comes close to you, that barrier will come up really, really quickly because you're trying to protect yourself. Naturally, you've been hurt. It's a natural instinct. We hurt ourselves physically, but emotionally too, we're going to step back. But of course, that barrier that remains in all relationships. It is a barrier between you and another person. It's a barrier between you and possibly love. It's a barrier between you and happiness and contentment. So what we want to do is not just think ourselves um, strong again, because that is using the mind. The mind is often our worst enemy. We want to go beyond the mind. We want to unleash those powerful spiritual energies that reside and allow them to become the guiding force. So as they come to the surface, as they begin to manifest themselves in our lives, then they will melt down these barriers as your heart expands. Now, the heart will become stronger, the emotional side of you will become stronger. You will not fear being hurt in relationships. In fact, the heart expanding so greatly is more about giving than receiving. But in giving, we also receive. So we learn a new way to love, a new way to live. And that is through that opening of the heart. But that opening awakens those wonderful energies. Those barriers will come down. You will not fear relationships. You will not throw up that barrier anymore. And therefore, you can also give because that barrier is also stopping you giving. You'll be able to receive and give in the way it was meant to be, in a natural flow between two people, whether that's lovers, mothers, or just friends, etc. It's between, we just want that flow. We want to flow with people. The art of true friendship is flowing with your friends. No expectation, because expectation has needs, and needs will always have disappointments. So we just want to flow in those relationships, which is absolutely wonderful. So, finding that center point. How do we find that center point? Meditation again, as we said, is the most perfect tool of us centering within ourselves. As I said, our mind is so focused on external things, we're always looking out. We always look out to find answers. We never look inside to find answers. The majority of the world. So meditation takes you on that journey from the exterior to the interior. It expands the heart. So please do try it. You'll find on the YouTube site some simple instructions into meditation. You can also take an online course, which is instructor led. So if you're here for the first time hearing about our methods, then please do get in touch via any social channel or through our website. Um, and yes, change your life. Come on. You know, life is to be enjoyed. Life is fun. That landscape will forever be changing. You cannot stop that. But it's how you cope. It's how you flow over all those rocks in the river. It's how you climb those mountains to achieve your goals. It is all down to us and us having the strength to do that. So do not live in fear as we're coming to the end of our time. My one ask, please do not live in fear. You're not living a full or fulfilled life. You've lost some of that enjoyment of life. So please look within yourself. Learn to go within yourself. Meditation is the perfect tool to find your foundation, find your stability, raise your consciousness, and have a totally different type of life. You deserve it. It's just there. You just have to reach out to find it. So thank you very much for listening. There is another session tomorrow. We will be posting ahead of time. These have just started this week. We'll be posting ahead of time the subjects that we're going to focus on to help you through this lockdown period to improve your mental health, because everything we're talking about here is about improving our mental health and well-being. Good. Enjoy the rest of your day and see you tomorrow.